If you've ever searched for a blend tool in Tinkercad and couldn't find one, you're definitely not alone. Tinkercad works a little differently from design software like Photoshop or Illustrator, but the good news is that you can still create smooth transitions, rounded forms, and blended-looking shapes very easily. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to blend in Tinkercad using a few simple methods, including radius, extrusion, scribble, and shape generators. If this tutorial helps you, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Tinkercad tips and beginner-friendly 3D design tutorials. All right, let's jump in. First, open Tinkercad and go to your design workspace. The most important thing to understand is that Tinkercad does not have a direct blend button. So instead of looking for one single tool, you create the blended effect by using rounded shapes and smooth transitions between objects. This gives you a similar result, and once you understand the process, it becomes very easy to do. Let's start with the simplest method, which is using radius. Drag a box or a cylinder onto the workplane. Once the shape is selected, look over to the inspector window where you'll see the radius slider. Move that slider to the right to smooth the corners and edges. The farther you slide it, the rounder the shape becomes. This is one of the fastest ways to make a shape look less rigid and more blended. If you're trying to create a soft corner, a rounded base, or a cleaner transition in your model, radius is a great place to start. Next, let's talk about extrusion. In the Shapes panel, find Extrusion and drag it onto the workplane. This tool is very useful when you want a more custom curved profile. With Extrusion, you can drag the anchor points to shape the outline however you want. As you adjust those points, the object updates automatically, which makes it ideal for creating smooth custom forms. If you want two parts of a model to flow into each other more naturally, Extrusion can help you build that blended look from the beginning instead of forcing it afterward. Now let's move on to Scribble, which is one of the best tools for creating organic shapes in Tinkercad. The Scribble tool lets you draw by hand, and Tinkercad converts your drawing into a 3D object. Because you're drawing free-form curves, you can create rounded, flowing shapes that feel much more natural than basic geometric forms. This is especially useful for artistic designs, custom logos, decorative parts, or anything that needs a soft, hand-drawn appearance. To use it, open Scribble, draw the shape you want, and then adjust the outline until it looks smooth and balanced. Once it's converted into 3D, you can combine it with other objects to create a blended model. Another great option is using shape generators. These are perfect if you want a pre-made smooth or organic form without building everything manually. Search for terms like terrain or organic in the featured or all shapes categories. You'll find shapes that already have rounded surfaces, soft transitions, and blended contours built in. These are incredibly useful when you want to save time or when your model needs a more natural appearance. You can place one of these shapes onto the workplane, resize it, and combine it with other objects to create a smooth transition between parts. If you want the most polished result, you can also combine these methods. For example, you might start with a rounded box using radius, then add an organic shape generator, and finally refine the shape with Scribble or Extrusion. By layering these techniques, you can build models that look much more blended and professional. A helpful tip is to zoom in while working so you can line up your shapes more accurately. The closer the alignment, the smoother the final transition will look once the objects are grouped together. Also, remember that Tinkercad is all about stacking and combining basic forms, so the blend effect often comes from smart placement rather than one special tool. So to quickly recap, if you want to blend in Tinkercad, use radius for rounded edges, extrusion for custom curved profiles, Scribble for organic hand-drawn shapes, and shape generators for smooth pre-built forms. Once you start combining these tools, you'll be able to make much more polished and creative designs. If this video helped you out, please give it a like, subscribe for more Tinkercad tutorials, and I'll see you in the next one.